This is the Seahawkers Podcast, episode 350. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Well, catfish!
Uh-huh.
I don't know what else to say.
Happy 350.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the big news here. Yeah, the happy 350 to us, and we're amazing, so good for us. And let's pat each other on the back. Virtually, of course, over the interwebs here.
If you pat me on the back, I will grab that hand, chop off that middle finger, and put it on ice and send it directly to the VMAX so we can do our part for this recovery effort.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'll Ronnie Lott this for our future, for sure. The future of this season. Yeah, cut it off. Give it to Russ. They can staple that back on. That's got to only take like a week to heal up, not like 6 to 8.
Yeah, it's faster that way. And then you can take his finger, and then you can take the 6 to 8.
Yeah,
and heal up that way. We're medical professionals that know how this stuff works.
Dude, it'd work great. It'd work about as well as the season has for this Seahawks team. That game on Thursday night. I mean, just the Rams. Freaking Aaron Donald. Then, the Russ injury. I mean,
now at the time, though, we knew that Russ got injured, but we didn't know the extent of it during the game.
You didn't?
Well, you didn't know the extent in terms of length of time that it would take for recovery.
Well, I guess I'd put it to you this way. When he was looking down at his hand and his finger would only bend one way because it only had one tendon on one side of the finger, which was catfishing obvious. It was like, oh, he tore a tendon. That was literally my first thought. I was like, he tore a tendon. That's surgery. It's going to be a while.
Maybe I'm just in denial because I've seen what Russ has played through in the past, and I just think, oh yeah, he'll be out there pretty soon, and he'll make it work.
We can't rely on that. I mean, I've seen so many pie in the sky kind of, oh yeah, he could be back, next week even. I mean, he's the fastest healer in the history of healers, and all of the positive talk and all of that. And just look, there's a lot of different ways you can take what happened on Thursday night, and there's a lot of different ways that you can project the season going from here on out. And I think they all have equal validity. I do. I mean, all I'm saying is from this point forward, you better be ready for some drama, because this season just turned into a high wire, drama-filled situation. And that's how it's going to be from here on out. And I don't care how it turns out going forward here. Whichever way it goes, it's going to be high drama. So just be ready.
We'll get into the drama. We'll get into the game a little bit more, but let's start this off with some blame taking for the loss.
Nope, I'm not going to allow it this week.
Okay, you may not allow it, but I'm still going to read it.
Okay, yeah, and that's fine. I'm just saying that whoever this was that wrote the email, whatever it is that they said, and every subsequent one, none of this, I know we talked about it last week, none of this is your fault. We have to stop taking responsibility for the poor choices and poor actions and poor performance of this team. And so I'm not going to allow it. You can try to throw yourself on the sword, but it's not worth it. Other people need to be held accountable.
You can say this, but without knowing the substance of this blame-taking email, how do you know? How do you know?
Because I know the Seahawks are the problem.
Christopher from Germany comes in, says, hi, Brandon and Adam. I take full responsibility for this loss. I had a bad feeling about the game all week, so I decided not to watch it live to make sure I don't disturb the Hawkra, and it seems like everything went pretty well until my stupid cat decided to wake me at about 3 o'clock a.m. and decided to participate in the Discord chat. No, Christopher decided to participate in the Discord, not his cat.
Are we sure?
I think it was Christopher.
Okay.
As soon as I'd done that, Russ throws his first interception of the season, according to the Discord chat. So I decided to go back to bed and try and fall asleep again immediately. Unfortunately, I couldn't because my girlfriend was snoring like she was cutting down the Brazilian rainforest. So I decided to get up and watch the game. I tuned in for the last drive of the first half, which ended in a penalty that erased the TD that was then followed by a missed field goal. At that point, I was already debating going back to sleep, but I felt like, I watched it a bit more. It won't be that bad. Well, after I watched Russell Wilson getting injured, I immediately turned off my computer and went straight to bed in a desperate attempt to cleanse my chakra by going to sleep again. But I had forgotten about my girlfriend's night job. Her shift in the Brazilian saw hadn't ended yet, so I was, again, not able to fall asleep. To make things worse, her stupid cat also decided to keep bugging me to keep me awake. At some point, it must have fallen asleep for 1 or 2 hours, but at 7 o'clock, again, the noise of the sawmill woke me. I have now surrendered, got up, and made a huge strong coffee, and I'm writing this about 7:30 a.m. So as the Titans game was partly due to the Acid Queen, this loss was due to the Sawing Queen, who works as an overseer in a Brazilian sawmill, and her vicious cat servant. I promise I won't watch any more primetime games this season and will not allow the cat to sleep in the bedroom. At this point, I can only apologize and ask for a way to cleanse my chakra again, as we have 2 more primetime games coming up. Greetings from Germany, Christopher, a.k.a. Beast Mode 24.
All right. So, Christopher, a couple things here. I think you should definitely use this as an opportunity to get rid of the cat. I think that's going to be better for your life going forward. Cats are dirty, nasty creatures that just do things like bother you in the middle of the night, like you talked about.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the lady friend,
you crate those animals at night. As a fellow cat owner, you can't allow cats to just be up and awake at night when you're trying to sleep.
You can't let them in your house.
They will sleep on your face.
Why would you let one in your house?
Well, they're fine during the daytime.
No, they're not. No, they can be outside. See you later. We don't need you here, you evil little beasts. An animal is evil when it would eat you if you died. Like if you died alone in your apartment, that cat would totally eat you. Your dog would never do that.
It's a true fact.
Yeah. So you take this opportunity to get rid of the cat. As far as the lady friend and her lumberjack nighttime job.
Her second job, yeah.
Yeah. Look, man, if she's cool, that's just maybe something you have to live with. It's going to be fine. And it's not her fault. And none of this is your fault. This isn't about your chakra. Like this is about this team and their inconsistency, which was after that Rams game. My first thought was this team it's just not consistent. That was the word that kept popping into my mind. And then you hear the rest of the team kind of talk about it throughout the week, which kind of confirms that they're at least thinking the same way. But it's not Christopher's fault.
They should have won this game. And I think Ethan in Maine is on track with you. Emails in, says, first off, no one take any blame for that game. It was a freaking dumpster fire. Second, I love Geno, but he's not Russ. I wish I could donate my hand right now, but oh well, we are catfish. Get well soon, Russ. But this season is over with no first round pick to show for it. And I absolutely love Jamal and the energy he brings, but not worth the pick so far, especially if one is a top 10 pick. Thanks for all you guys do, and go Hawks.
Yeah, go Hawks. It does. So that's one of the directions that you could go with this, right? In how some people feel about this. This team's terrible. The season is over. Russ, sure, he might come back, but all I can think about is Kurt Warner's thumb and how it took him 2 years to be a good quarterback again after injuring that. That's a scary thing. Who knows what happens with that? We're just kind of doomed. Maybe it's time to blow this whole thing up. That is definitely one way to go with it.
That is a way to go with it, yeah. Yeah.
And look, and with that direction comes a lot of drama, right? I mean, the Russ stuff kicks back up again. This offseason, Pete's on the hot seat, and it just turns into a big blow up. And that's definitely one way to go. There are also other ways the season could progress from here, and we can explore those here in a bit as well. But I can understand how some people feel that way. 6 to 8 weeks, the season's over. We're 2-3. We've lost a division game. It's over.
Well, I feel like we talked about this, though, when the Jamal trade first happened, in that this is a risk that you take when you trade multiple first-round picks. When it's just one and you know which one you're giving away, that's fine. But when you're trying to go after an elite player and it takes two, you have no idea what could happen coming up. You can't count on anybody to stay healthy for any period of time. And so you risk that when you lose that pick, then you're losing those future picks. I mean, look at the 49ers, right? Giving up a bunch of picks for Trey Lance. Now, that's an even bigger risk because you don't know which quarterbacks are going to hit, which aren't going to hit. And then on top of that, if you have the history of injuries and now you're giving up potential first round picks and you don't know what's going to happen with your quarterback. So, there's worse places to be in, but that doesn't make us feel all that great right now because on top of this, Jamal is not having a great season. And so you look at that and you wonder, gosh, is he one of these guys who gets paid and then can't perform at the level that he was playing at before? Whether that's being able to motivate yourself to play at the kind of level that it takes to get the long-term contract or versus, guys who, gosh, you've seen so many NFLers who get paid and they're done.
Absolutely. And let's talk about Jamal Adams here. Now, one thought I had during the game, our Bronco friend Jared texted me and he's like, what's going on with Jamal? And I texted him back. I was like, it may be a case of he has a bad case of I got paids. Like, I mean, it's a terrible virus that people get. When you get the I got paids, like, you're just not the same. Now, upon reflection, I don't think that's it. He is putting out a lot of good effort. He is a quality player. And I know a lot of people are wringing their hands. Oh my God, we gave up those first rounders and this one's going to be a top 10 pick. Number one, shut up. It's not going to be a top 10 pick. It's not. This team will still be a 500 team going down the stretch of this season. They just will. There's no, because there's one of three ways that this season can go. It can go the first way we just talked about, complete dumpster fire. It can go,
Geno complete Smith dumpster fire is a top 10 pick though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 100%. I'm not denying that. The second way that it can go is Geno Smith comes in, the offense looks better, they tighten it up a little bit on defense, and they make a wild card run and all that. And that's a nightmare scenario as well, because if it looks a little better with Geno, can you imagine the offseason chatter and what's going to happen with all of that? Talk about drama. Like, there's no way around that. Like, it's going to be drama if Geno does really well. Our best case scenario as Seahawks fans, this is our best case scenario, is that Geno plays well enough over these next 3 games to go 2-1, but just barely. The defense gets it put back together a little bit. They get to 4-4, be 500. Russ comes back, plays well enough. The defense is still inconsistent. They go something like 500 or just slightly better, and we go into the next season and we just reload again. But if Geno does really well, that's a catfish nightmare. If this team goes down the tubes and is basically like a 4-win team, that's a freaking nightmare. Our best case scenario is for this to go right through an inconsistent and mediocre season all the way to the end. And I think that is the most likely outcome for sure. So no, I don't think giving up the picks for Jamal is a big deal. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be like pick 15 through 17. Well, sure, that's still a nice enough pick, but Jamal's a nice player. The problem with Jamal right now isn't that he's not playing hard. It's not that he's not a talented player. The problem is that he's being misused constantly.
Yeah.
Like
it feels more of a misuse and a try too hard thing than a Jamal got paid and is shutting it down thing.
100%. 100%. And I've been putting off the fire Ken Norton situation for a long time, being like, okay, like there's some ups and downs, and I get that. I'm there now. It's time to fire Ken Norton. The inconsistency cannot happen anymore. The difference between an amateur and a professional is consistency. Amateurs are just as good as professionals on any given day, but they can't put it together day in and day out like a professional does.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Inconsistency is a nice way to put it, but it's also been pretty consistent when you go now from last year and this year and say the way this defense has started out, being historically the worst in the NFL now through 5 games, like they were last year and are this year, that can't happen.
No, it cannot happen. And the big problem is, and you hear Pete talk about it too, they're like, oh, well, we're seeing the same problems pop up again and again. Just can't quite get them solved.
It's a coaching issue then.
That's a catfish coaching issue. Like here's the problem. They're mad at the linebackers for giving up the stuff in that 15-yard intermediate range over their head, right?
Yeah.
Well, the second they sink back further into the zones, those underneath zones, out into the middle part of the field, we get screened to death. And then we're mad at them for not for giving up the screens and 10 yards on every screen. So what is it? What do you want them to do? You can't. They're incapable of doing that job, what you're asking them to do. And it's asking the linebackers to play zone all the time in the middle of the field. I hate it. It's crap. They don't do it well. The choices they make are poor. It's time to scrap that. I'm done with it.
Well, the weird thing is that they seem to fix that in the game against the 49ers when they were taking the extra linebackers off the field. Now, Jamal, you can use him as a linebacker. I think you can use Ryan Neal as a linebacker.
Yes.
And you can then one of the things we saw with the defense against the 49ers is that they were protecting the middle of the field with those extra DBs. They were trying to cut underneath routes. And they didn't do that against the Rams. It worked against the 49ers, and then they didn't do it at all in this game.
I about crawled through the screen watching Pete Carroll's press conference about this when they asked him about Ryan Neal not playing and like why that was and all that. And him up there going, oh my, it infuriates me to even just think about what he said. Well, he really was in the game plan the same way as the 49ers, but the Rams run their offense at such a tempo that we just couldn't get them out there, especially on third downs. And we still did good on third down. So, like, what's the big deal here? Catfish you so much. How in the world do you go into that game and go, hey, this is working with Ryan Neal as playing the big dime, something we've been, as fans, have been asking for 5 years, and they finally do it with the Niners, and it works out really well. And then your excuse for not doing it against the Rams is you're caught off guard that they run their offense so fast that you couldn't substitute. Shut the catfish up. That is so catfish and terrible, and it made me so furious to hear that answer. You couldn't plan in advance that you might run Ryan Neal out there for first and second down. That was too complicated of a freaking concept that this caught you. The Sean McVay, 7-3 against you, is so much smarter than you because they just run it slightly up tempo. Give me a break. Oh my God, that was one of the most maddening things I heard all week.
How can you not prepare for a team and a coach and Sean McVay that you've played year after year after year, and it is the exact same thing that is beating you year after year after year?
And not only that, you brought in somebody from their scheme who knows their ins and outs. And so you should be even more familiar with the tactics that are used to make that offense go.
Yeah.
And yet somehow you're still surprised that you can't get players on and off the field on freaking third down. I swear to God, dude, I almost punched my tablet. Like that was so maddening, especially when, and I'm not saying Ryan Neal is the cure all fix all to this defense or anything.
Oh, no. But it would have made a difference. And the thing is that the other thing that Pete Carroll's saying that they were good on third down. Well, one of the reasons you were good on third down, Pete, was because Matt Stafford was overthrowing dudes on third down. It wasn't even the defense that was playing shutdown type defense. You kind of got bailed out by a couple of Matt Stafford throws on third down.
You absolutely did. Stafford was not as sharp as he can always be. And I'm sure everybody blames a finger, whatever, fine.
I'm talking just kind of the first quarter. That was before he was even dealing with the finger.
Oh, I thought he was dealing with the finger coming into the game.
No, I think he banged it during the game, just like Russ. I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, either way, they'll all blame it on the finger.
There's
that's
so many
bit of
banged fingers in this game. I just, can't keep it straight.
Well, that's just a little bit of Matt Stafford being Matt Stafford. I mean, he's going to have some moments of brilliance and some moments of head scratchers. Now, and then also Pete saying, well, we were great on third down. You weren't great on one of the biggest third downs in the game. You gave up a 3rd and 10 when you had a chance to really take control of this game with that ball that was thrown that Jamal just loses in the lights. Sidney Jones was playing his part. He was playing the underneath coverage of that and was in good position. The ball was underthrown. That should have been a pick every day of the week. Like, there's no way Jamal should miss that. None.
In defense of Jamal, I think he was probably running to where Stafford would normally air it out to, but it was underthrown. And so by the time he got turned around, Deshaun was already catching it. Now, I don't know how badly Sidney Jones got beat or if he was out of position initially on the throw or not, but it wasn't a good play.
He was playing it properly for having help over the top. Sidney Jones was right where was right where he was supposed
as long as he was supposed to have help over the top,
Yeah, which he was. It was too high. It was too high coverage. So, I mean, that's why Jamal was back there. If it's single high, it's going to be just Diggs back there. So the whole point of Jamal being back there is that, it's too high coverage. You should be covering that. Now, if you want to silver lining this game a little bit, I watched Bills Chiefs last night, and like the Chiefs are our AFC doppelganger, and they're the exact same team as the Seahawks right now.
Are they?
Short of a Mahomes injury.
Okay.
And it's the exact same thing. And their defense is atrocious. They can't stop anybody, and they rely on the quarterback too much and get away from the run game. Like it's the exact same thing. They're in the exact same place. Now the Chiefs got their doors blown up. The Seahawks were legitimately 2 plays away from winning this football game, even with the Russ injury. The Jamal Adams play on 3rd and 10. That was just terrible. It kept the drive alive and it extended it for a score. And then the other big play was Dwayne Brown's hold, taking points off the board. Those 2 plays go the opposite direction, and you win this game. So it's not like they got blown out like the Chiefs did.
And then you're not counting on the officials to catch that Tyler Lockett play where he gets run into and Geno Smith throws the interception.
They're never calling that. Their feet got tangled up. They're never calling that. So I don't want to hear anything about the refs in this game. I have zero tolerance for that talk about this game. This wasn't a referee problem.
Oh, no. I'm saying, though, that was pass interference. It could have been called. Like
it's
you
not
say,
pass interference. Their feet got tangled up.
His knee, he ran right into Tyler Lockett, and his knee clipped Tyler Lockett's leg.
That's not pass interference.
You can't run into a dude.
Contact. It's incidental contact. That's not pass interference. It wasn't
incidental contact. He was running back. It wasn't even in position for like a zone defense type thing. He literally ran into Tyler before the ball got there.
Not on purpose.
Where do you think he was going?
I don't know what he was doing, but the point being is that that's not pass interference. They're never calling that. Never. Not in a million years. Like, everybody needs to let that call go.
Okay, just run into defensive players and for no reason.
Get your feet tangled up. If you can defend getting your feet consistently tangled up, I dare you to do it. It's a great strategy.
I mean,
but it's hard to do. Now, the Dwayne Brown hold, if you want to be upset about that,
it's ticky-tack. It's ticky-tack.
That's one of those that half the time they call it, half the time they don't. And it's a super huge bummer that they called it right when they did.
The thing is, I'm not even complaining about the officiating either. I'm just recognizing the plays that could have gone either way in terms of officiating calls. They absolutely should have won this game, though.
No, they shouldn't have, because they gave up a giant 3rd and 10 and they held on a touchdown play. You can't win doing that. You can't win getting your ass handed to you up and down the field on defense and giving up every throw between 12 and 15 yards behind the linebackers. You're not going to win that. They shouldn't have won it.
They could have won this game.
They could have won it. Yes. And that's the difference between what we saw on Thursday and then what the Chiefs did on Monday. The Chiefs had no chance.
The Chiefs are the team that we're probably closest to in the AFC in terms of how things are structured.
Yeah.
The Ravens are the team that I kind of want our Seahawks to be in terms of their defense, because their defense they don't have a ton of talent on the defensive side of the ball either.
Yeah.
But they take risks on defense. And then on offense, they also take risks. You see it work out for them more than it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because they're willing to take those chances.
Yeah. I don't want to run the Ravens offense at all.
No, not the offense, but in terms of the mentality that because I don't even know if I want to run the Ravens defense, but you see them at least taking chances on defense more often than just allowing the team to kind of go down the field and waiting for them to make a mistake.
Well, my problem with the chances that we do take on defense is more often than not, they do not result in pressure. Like, you're not getting there with 4 and you're not getting there with 5 very consistently. Like, that's the biggest thing. Guys have to win.
I just don't want to see defensive linemen dropping back into coverage consistently.
So there was one play where the Rams ran trips to the defense's left side, and Sidney Jones was out there, and Dunlap was standing up on the end of the line, and that was it. And I'm screaming at the screen. We don't even have enough guys over there, number one, let alone the fact that Dunlap is one of the guys. Like, what are we doing? They do this a lot where they'll run trips to one side or the other, and we literally just don't have enough men out there. We don't have enough men. And it's like, so how do you expect that to result in success? I don't get it. Let alone having Dunlap be one of those guys who, again, might be your best consistent pass rusher, and you're taking him out of that role.
Yeah, unless you're seeing something that trips formation is leading you to believe that it's some kind of screen and that Dunlap is standing up to be that guy to blow up the screen. But I don't think that play was a screen, though.
It was not a screen. They completed it right over Dunlap's head, and it was a gain of like 8 or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly, but point being is like that play before the ball's even snapped, we'd already lost that play. And we're just seeing that too often on defense. And I can't expect the offense to overcome that. In a lot of ways, the offense, before Russ got hurt, they sputtered to good enough to get it done in this game. And they get zero support from the defense. And you're never going to win that. You're just never going to win consistently that way.
The defense got the Rams off the field toward the end in enough time for them to have a game-winning drive. Now, if it's Russ, maybe he makes that happen. It was Geno in there at that time. Geno had the amazing 98-yard touchdown drive. And man, that got me fired up, because watching Geno lead the team on a 98-yard touchdown drive when there was zero expectation of him really doing anything in that position, that was fun. I at least with the game the way it went, there were two really fun moments. It was the 98-yard touchdown drive. It was the Michael Dixon double punt. That was fun. Right. And so I at least there was some entertaining moments. I'm hoping that we can get more of that. Just some entertaining things to watch.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Geno first, and then we'll talk about Dixon's double punt, because that was interesting. With Geno coming into the game, just like you said, low expectations. But halfway through that drive, I found myself being like, this kind of looks better than it does with Russ.
Well, Geno was working within the structure of the offense, which is something that I feel like we want from Russ. Just work within the structure of the offense, because we saw Jared Goff run the Rams offense, and I kind of think Geno Smith is better than Jared Goff, at least comparable. And so if you can get that kind of play from Geno Smith to where minimize mistakes, run within the structure of the offense, get Chris Carson back and healthy on the field, this offense could look all right with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett out there receiving footballs.
There's definitely a possibility that these guys, go 2-1 over the next 3 weeks. It really is.
But again, that leads you into that drama conversation that you brought up before of if Geno comes in and he looks like this within the Seahawks offense, what drama does that create?
All sorts. The national media can't let that go. I mean, it's going to be a total drama.
I don't even care about the media. What does that do to Russ?
I know. We can't have Geno do too well. I know that sounds crazy, but we can't have him do too well. They need to go 2-1 and Geno win by like 2 points every game, and they almost win despite him, and we get Russ back after the bye. That's the best case scenario that we can get.
Well, and I think even in the Discord, we were joking a little bit that because Geno was looking so good, it's like, oh, time to trade Russ for those 3 first-round picks and start the rebuild.
Yeah. What if they go 3-0 and Geno throws like for 250 yards a game on average, 2 TDs and half an interception, right? Like throws 1 pick in the 3 games.
Well, like when Teddy Bridgewater went on that run with the Saints when Drew Brees was out.
Exactly. Yeah. If he does that, it's going to be no fun to be a Seahawks fan. It's going to be no fun.
So we're actively rooting for our team to be mediocre.
I am.
Because long-term, the consequences are you're not going to win consistently with Geno.
And can you imagine Pete in the pressers and stuff after all that, when they start asking him those questions? Because there's definitely a part of all of this that feels like a Pete Carroll ego problem. Like, he wants to win his way. He has a vision for the way ball is played. And the way that Russ plays doesn't necessarily fit that at all times, or the way that Russ wants to play and the way the league is trending. I mean, you got to score 30 a game now. Like, that's where the league is.
Well, the thing is I do think that you can score 30 a game by gelling the two mentalities. Like, not every ball has to be a kill shot, and you can still work within the structure of the offense to set up your kill shots.
And look, you got to be really consistent on offense, and you have to be very patient and take those checkdowns and get them 4 or 5 yards at a time. That's how Tom Brady has been great for 35 years. Like, it's what Joe Montana did in all those 2-minute drives.
Well, and I feel like, you point back to the Chiefs.
Exactly. Thank you. This is exactly where I was going.
Yeah, because that's the struggle that Mahomes is dealing with right now. He's kind of in that kill shot want mode, and they're doing the same thing to Mahomes that defenses did to Russ last year, and not allowing those big deep plays.
It looks eerily similar, doesn't it? And you see it being used by a lot of different teams against a lot of the bigger name quarterbacks, right? All right, fine. Look, we're going to give up points. That's just how the world is. That's fine. But I'm going to make you do it in 14 plays rather than 3. And I'm counting on Tyreek Hill dropping a pass. I'm counting on somebody getting free to get a sack. I'm counting on blowing up 1 and 3 drives doing that. And honestly, that's probably the way the defense has to be played in the NFL in 2021. I think that's just kind of where we're at.
It seems like it's been the Seahawks approach to deal with, but that's with bad quarterbacks. They even operate that way. So, and mediocre quarterbacks, not the good ones.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need to shift and be more aggressive on the mediocre and bad quarterbacks, and be okay with playing that and trying for the shootout against the good ones.
Well, here's the big problem with the defense is that they're playing to prevent the chunk play, right?
And they're not doing it.
Are still giving up the chunk play. So that's the problem in there, is instead of forcing him into a 14-play drive and having it fizzle out, it's an 8-play drive, and they still score anyways, and they still take a fair amount of time off the clock, and you still give up the big score and the big play. So it's the worst of all worlds. And you heard them talk about it in the Thursday night game. I think they said the Seahawks were the worst team in the league in terms of time of possession, and it certainly feels that way.
The defense continues to be on the field really more than they should. And so that's, again, where some of the hope is for the improvement, and some of the optimism is that, okay, if Geno's working within the structure of the offense, they can maintain some time of possession and keep the defense off the field. And then that helps the defense not be historically the worst.
Right. And watching this Rams game, it also felt like they weren't far away from playing that way.
Yeah, we'll see going forward.
They're at the end of the day, I started trying to figure out, like, okay, so where are we? What are we? Where should I categorize this team at this point, right? Because lots of people, we're trash, we're the worst team in the league, and all that. No, I've watched some of those teams. We're not that.
I've watched some bad teams.
We're not that. We're a very mediocre team right now. They're mediocre. They have some moments of greatness, some moments of terrible. They're mediocre, and consistency is the difference.
Amy and Squim comes in, says, I'm less concerned about Geno being solid than the defense being competent. If the defense can sort its crap out, we may be okay. If they don't, it doesn't really matter who throws the ball. Decent defensive play and solid backups can keep us in the mix. Geno can't do it alone.
Yeah, I'm almost always with Amy. Her and I are like very simpatico on almost everything. But, the thing I keep hearing from the players and from even Pete too is, we had the right call. We were in the right area, but guys didn't make the right decision when it came time, for the play to go down. So to me, what that sounds like is that the system is either A, too complicated, or B, doesn't make sense. Because Guys like Bobby aren't stupid. They're, high IQ football players. Yet if Bobby's making the wrong decision on a reasonable amount of the plays, that doesn't feel like a Bobby problem. If Jamal's making the wrong decision on a reasonable amount of the defensive snaps, that doesn't feel like a Jamal problem.
Right.
You hear Quandre Diggs in his press conference talk about somebody who's catfish and pissed.
He's so pissed. And he has a bigger reason to be pissed than anybody right now because, one, he was trying to get a long-term extension, and he's out there bawling. Meanwhile, Jamal Adams, on the other hand, got his big extension, and Diggs is the one making a ton of plays.
And you heard him talk in his presser and subtly throw it on the coaches. And then when the media asked him, well, so, what's going on here? What would you change? It's not my job. I just go out there and do my job. Right? All the players are doing their damnedest to not throw the coaching under the bus. You heard the DBs talk about it like 3 weeks ago. Well, we're not exactly sure what we're supposed to be doing. This is a coaching problem through and through. And I don't know how much Pete is involved with the defense these days. And maybe it's a lot, maybe it's a little. I don't know. But one way or the other, you got to get rid of Ken Norton. It's time. It's time for Ken Norton. And the problem is with Russ hurting his finger, there is no effing way we get rid of Ken Norton for at least 4 or 5 weeks. Pete's not going to throw more discontinuity into this for the next 3-4 weeks by firing Ken Norton. He's not going to do it. There's no way he does it.
Ooh, that's a good point. It's probably not likely to happen, no.
And it has to.
For the success of the team this season, it does feel like it needs to at this point.
For the success of this team going forward, because just like you said, we're now let's take last year and this year, right? That's basically, so last year we can break that up into 4 quarters of football, right? That season.
Yeah.
The first 2 quarters were a dumpster fire. The last 2 quarters were pretty good. So hard to say one way or the other. What is this team? What is this defense? What is Ken Norton, right? We've seen good and bad. And now we've seen a quarter of this season go by. We now have 3 quarters of dumpster fire, terrible play, and 2 quarters of decent play in terms of a season, right?
Now, I always say, if you're going to make the move, who do you put there?
Doesn't matter.
And the answer is your assistant head coach and defensive line coach, Clint Hurt.
Okay, I'm fine with Clint Hurt. You got to understand whoever goes in there to be the interim DC or however it is they title it, right? Pete's gonna be your puppeteer.
Yeah.
He's gonna be your Geppetto. You're gonna be Pinocchio. He's gonna tell you everything that you're gonna do. Isn't that
kind of what we thought that position was anyway?
I don't think we know for sure.
Although Dan Quinn is doing a heck of a job with the Cowboys defense this year.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Sorry to bring it up.
I know that one hurts too. But the point, the other point being is that, and many other people have made this point, this team has plenty of defensive talent. Plenty. There's more than enough there to be a competent defense. There really is.
Yeah, you just have to decide how you want to use those players.
How best to use those players.
Right.
In taking Jamal out of the box, as often as they are this year, that's not playing to his strengths. Keeping a third linebacker out on the field or even 2 linebackers out on the field are not playing into the personnel's strength. Right?
I think you should consider Jamal being your second linebacker along with Bobby, yes. And you take Jordan Brooks off the field.
Yes. Jordan Brooks does not have the coverage capabilities.
Use him situationally. When the team gets down toward the goal line, okay.
Sure, obvious run situations, things of that nature. Yeah. But no, your base defense can't be base defense anymore.
Until they change, until the offenses change and they start running the football more against you.
Right.
But I do feel like having Jamal playing within the box, it sets up well for the teams that want to run against you. And I don't know if it's all that much difference if you have
Jamal or Brooks,
or Ryan Neal or Brooks.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather have Ryan Neal in the back end, Jamal in the box.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I just don't see why that's not the obvious change to make.
Or Marquise Blair instead of Ryan Neal. However you want to do it.
rotate them.
Sure.
Like, I don't care. It's time to
I feel
play
like the rotation is probably
base.
more Ugo and Blair, but yeah, however you want to rotate those guys through and keep them fresh, whatever.
I'm fine with it. But it's dime time. Like, it is.
It's defensive dime time.
Yeah. And to not do that against the Rams is infuriating.
Right.
Like, they're a pass first team by a lot. And then throughout the game, the Seahawks had good success running it up the middle and got away from it. That's how the Cardinals beat them.
Yeah.
And
they started running outside. That was the fourth down decision.
I know. I'm baffled.
They decide to go for it on fourth down in a moment where you're like, yes, let's go for it. Let's get this right here. And then they run it outside.
And they try to get to the edge.
And it gets stuffed.
It's like, golly, can't we just stick with what's working?
And not to mention that Carson's not in there. You're trying to do it with Alex Collins.
Which is fine. I like Alex Collins fine.
If you want an edge play, let's do it. Let's run it to do one of those pop plays to Penny Hart again. You ran one of those and he looked quick as hell.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't get it in a lot of ways. If you're crushing them up the middle, running the football, and I'm not saying they were crushing them, but they were having an effective
success.
Game.
Yeah.
They were having an effective game doing it. Why go away from it?
I don't know.
Why? How is that an adjustment that you make? Oh, so the one thing we're doing really well, let's stop doing that.
Well, they have that now on both sides of the ball after the 49ers game.
I know. And what a depressing start to a season, man.
The big depressing thing is that part of it is unknown with how long it's going to be with Russell Wilson's injury. You see reports saying 6 to 8 weeks. You see people saying, oh, well, Russ is, so good at coming back and that maybe he only needs a week. And gosh, maybe we'll see him against Pittsburgh because he's a miracle man. And he played on one leg an entire season after getting injured when Ndamukong Suh stepped on him. So there's a lot to think about. And then I see other people saying, well, if it's going to be 6 weeks, it's time to bring in another quarterback. You got to sign Cam Newton, or you got to trade for Gardner Minshew, or trade for Jacob Eason. What?
Jacob Eason? People have actually... All right, so let's go through that list real quick.
That whole list.
Is Geno Smith better than Jacob Eason?
Yes.
Is Geno Smith better than Minshew?
Maybe, but probably.
At least as good.
Yeah.
He's at least as good,
He's at least as good. And he might still be at least as good as Cam Newton.
Is Geno Smith better than Cam Newton at this point in Cam Newton's career?
He's way less annoying than Cam Newton, even, when you consider Cam Newton at this point of his career.
Cam Newton is not good anymore.
You're not getting MVP Cam Newton right now.
Not even close. His shoulder is spaghetti, dude. He's missing throws all over the field when he was in there for the Patriots. Cam Newton is not even close to the answer. Why would you even think that? Why would you even bring that drama and that font into your team?
It always comes down to the font with you.
And also the hats and the scarves.
It's a little much.
And just his overall demeanor. I just don't care for the person. I just don't.
I know. It's fine. And that's maybe something that you think about. You hate to think about any other injuries. But if there's any other injuries, then maybe that's what you think about.
Just depends on where you're at in the season. I mean, right now we're 2-3 and we're sucking hind tit in the division.
Oh, but we still got the tiebreaker over the 49ers.
Hey, look, the Niners, I think we can say at this point, they're not very good. We'll talk about them in the second half of the show.
Yeah,
probably the Rams too. But
we'll talk about them later. Let's talk a little bit before we get to the second half of the show. We got a game coming up against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, so
who were terrible for the first 4 games of the season, and they play against the Broncos, and they actually look pretty good.
Right. So I honestly don't know what to make of the Steelers in a lot of ways defensively, because they should be pretty damn good defensively. And they look pretty good defensively. Yeah, they look pretty good defensively against the Broncos. Yeah. I will say that I don't think their defense is any better than the Niners defense. I don't think their defense is any better than the Rams defense.
I think that's fair. I think that but they're strong up front. They have.
So are the Niners. Yeah. So are the Rams.
Yeah. Minka Fitzpatrick on the back end is nice.
Sure. So is Ramsey.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying that this defense isn't anything light years ahead of what this team has faced so far this season. And we've had spurts of success. And so I would expect the same. Now, the good news is that the offense is being led by a QB zombie named Ben Roethlisberger. And he managed to, so when you get old, and I watched NBA players, especially because they get older a little faster in some ways, but especially the smaller guys. You can see like 1 in every 4 games. It's like, oh, there's prime such and such, right? Like that was a throwback game. That's who they are. And it's not who they are anymore. They can't do that consistently anymore. They can't bring the energy. They can't bring those sort of performances. And that's where Ben is. So I'm really glad that he got it out of his system last week. And I expect their offense to be pretty bad. And so if there was ever a get right game for this defense, here it is.
Here it is. Yeah. But you can't allow, I think part of the reason though, is that Denver allowed Najee Harris to get going. And so that helped Ben out a lot. That was the first,
yes.
That was the first 100-yard game by Najee Harris against the Broncos. And I think that made a difference.
So in this game, we talked a lot about having the 3 safeties earlier and all that stuff, and playing the deep stuff, not giving up all that.
This is the game to not make that switch.
That's exactly right. I mean, I would be all up around the line of scrimmage. If there was ever a game for Jamal Adams to like hover in the box the entire game, this is it. Let's load up on the run, blitz the hell out of Ben. You probably knock him out of the game. Juju's hurt. Why would you give him even a breath of life and let that run game get going?
I do worry about, though, who they're going to put on Chase Claypool, because that dude is huge.
Cool. So can Claypool like stand in the pocket, throw the ball, and then run downfield and then grab it himself?
That's true. If you get after the quarterback quickly enough.
Just reasonable. It doesn't even have to be super quick. Ben can't throw it downfield anymore.
They could screen the heck out of this team, though. Watch for that again.
Not if everybody plays up. Let's play up.
Unless they all go for the quarterback when the offensive lineman breaks off of them.
Yes, that's another thing that somehow needs to be emphasized in practice, is feeling that just being let go by the O-line and knowing that, oh, it's a screen. Maybe I need to get back, or just stand in between the quarterback and the running back so he can't throw it there. Not that I'm not going to knock it down or anything like that. Just prevent the throw.
Yeah. Do what Poona Ford did a couple games back and just get in the way.
Like every time. I don't know. The weird part is like, I see the defense get screened to death, right? And these D linemen, they get let through. And then every time it goes right over their head, they're always like, what? No way. How did I just couldn't see that. How? That is so out of character.
This reminds me, how infuriating was it to see Geno Smith come on the field in the second half of that game against the Rams and run a screen successfully and have it look like every other team,
and to hit checkdowns and to hit a first read quickly.
Oh, well, I expected that. I thought that this team was actually bad at running screens, that it had nothing to do with Russ, and that it was just a bad team thing.
Yeah.
It might be a Russ thing.
Maybe not. Maybe not. We're going to get a lot of weird answers to our football lives in the next 3 to 7 games. I mean, it's going to be interesting.
That's, again, it goes back to the drama thing. If you see what Geno does well, it's going to show what Russ doesn't do well.
Possibly, yeah.
Especially when we've had 10 years of Russell Wilson information that we know, or that we have a pretty good idea of what he does and doesn't do well. But still, Geno Smith's not going to be able to do some of those things that Russell Wilson does really, really well.
Right.
But he's not going to try either.
No. Well, let's think about the Steelers game a little bit in terms of expectations. This is definitely in the wheelhouse of another win. They can win this game. This is a very winnable game. And I think they need to win this game. Because let's think about the NFC picture as a whole. How many teams would you say are good teams, more or less a lock for the playoffs?
In the NFC.
In the NFC.
Well, being out to a 5-0 start helps the Cardinals.
I don't think they're a lock.
I think
they're getting close to being a lock, but they're not a lock yet.
I think the Packers are a lock. I think the Cowboys are a lock.
Okay. So one in the NFC North, one in the NFC East.
Tampa Bay is a lock.
One in the NFC South.
The way Carolina is playing, I would
They're
put
not a lock at
they're
all.
not a lock.
No way,
but
not
I
even
feel
close.
I feel pretty good about them as a potential playoff team.
Do you really?
Yeah, I think I do, based on their defense, especially.
I genuinely don't.
Okay.
I see that completely different than you do.
That probably exhausts the list of locks.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, one division winner from each. Like the Rams are probably a lock at this point to make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. See, I didn't even want to go there, but you went there.
Yeah. So that leaves all the wild card spots, right?
Right. 3 of them.
3 of them. Think of 3 teams that you think have a legit better chance at a wild card than the Seahawks. Like that you feel for sure have a better chance for that wild card spot than the Seahawks.
I think Carolina is going to take a wild card spot.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Have you watched Sam Darnold play the last 2 games? The wheels have come off. The league have figured out what they're doing with him.
Okay. Well, maybe I need to watch a little bit more to see if I consider him figured out or not.
He's definitely figured out. I have no faith in that team whatsoever. So if I'm looking at it, I think the Saints are a possibility. I think the Vikings are a possibility.
Chicago could maybe even be a possibility.
I don't think so. I don't think they have enough offensively. I don't think that unless Fields really grows over the rest of the season. I mean, it's possible. Okay, throw Chicago in there.
And
it's close
and
with
you
them.
got to throw Arizona in there.
You got to throw Arizona in there. But you feel like you're in the mix with any of those teams, don't you? Especially because you haven't even played Arizona twice yet.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I thought was pretty funny is people saying, oh, well, the Seahawks, they're just too far behind Arizona right now to catch up. No, they're not.
No, they're not.
They got 2 games against them still.
This team could rattle off 9-10 wins this year still and be a wild card.
Yeah, it's possible.
Okay, well, pull up the schedule real quick. Let's go through it.
I know we saw some excitement from Geno Smith. I need to see more before I'm ready to say this team can.
Mediocre Geno. Mediocre Geno.
Okay. Steelers, obviously. And then at home, back-to-back, you have the Saints and then the Jaguars before the bye week.
You could probably lose to the Saints. It just depends on which Jameis you get.
You need to go 2-1 over the next 2 games. Or the next 3 games.
Totally doable, right? So now you're 4-4 coming out of the bye.
4-5, yeah.
4-5, they only have 3 losses right now. And if you go 2-1?
Yeah, I was counting losing the bye week.
Oh, okay.
It just hasn't gone well this year.
All right. So 4-4, Russ comes back. What are your next 3 games?
At Green Bay, Arizona at home, at Washington.
All right. You can go 2-1 through there as well.
And that's a tough 2-1.
The big one being you're going to need to win the Arizona game.
Yes.
That'll be a must win.
That's a must win. And if you lose if you lose to the Packers, then that makes Washington must win. Which that can be an okay must win.
Yeah, which is doable. I think they probably do lose to the Packers.
Can you go the next 6 games with Geno as your quarterback?
I don't think you're going to have to. I think Russ comes back after the bye for sure.
I don't know.
Oh, nobody knows. Nobody knows. But that would be, if I had to take all my chips and slide them somewhere, it would be on the Green Bay game.
It does feel like the streak is going to end against Pittsburgh at least, though.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
The way everybody's talking, I'm thinking that Russ is not going to be in this game.
He's not coming back before the bye. And it would be a mistake to do that. Let's make sure it heals a little bit. Because again, I don't want to get in a Kurt Warner's thumb situation with Russ.
Yeah. It's a middle finger. It's different than a thumb. But yes, it's important.
It's important. All right. So at that point, you'd be what? 6-5?
Yes.
So now you need to win 4 games going down the stretch.
Yeah. And 4 games against, you have San Francisco at home, on the road against the Texans. Better win that one.
Both very winnable.
At the Rams. We'll see.
Probably a loss.
Home against the Bears, home against the Lions, closing.
Winnable.
Closing at the Cardinals.
Winnable.
Yeah.
10 wins is totally within range right now.
It's within range, and 10 wins get you into the playoffs.
And even this next 3 weeks isn't like the end all be all. Like if they go 1-2 over the next 3 weeks, you're still not out of it.
Then you have to, right. Then you're making it up against those games like the Packers and the Rams and the Cardinals, the teams that we've listed off that are playoff contenders.
You just need to get 1 or 2 of those. It's totally doable. This season's not over. It's definitely not over, but it's going to take some big adjustments on defense. It's going to take Russ coming back and being sharp. And it's going to take Chris Carson returning. And that one scares me to death. This neck injury that came out of nowhere.
Catfish!
Yeah.
Like, I just visions of Cam, right? Like, all of a sudden he just never played again. Which brings me back to the
Catfish!
Action Green jerseys. We're all done with them, right? We are, right? Remember how it ended Cam Chancellor's career? Remember how that was the last game that Sherm ever played for us? Was in the Action freaking Green. And then it tried to end our season last week by injuring Russ. We're done. They are dead. No more, ever, ever, ever.
I'm okay with it now. Now that they've lost a game, I'm sorry it had to come to this for me to make my decision to go away from them. But yes, it's time.
I've been warning everybody.
But we do have some amazing punter things that happen in Action Green.
Well, thank you for bringing that back up because I forgot to get to Dixon. But
we can't forget about Michael Dixon and his double punt.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get super excited about it in one way because they got blocked really badly.
It was bad.
Like that part is tough to swallow. Now, everything that Dixon did after that, like, wow.
Picking up a spinning football with one hand.
Yeah, I can't do that. Especially while running at close to full speed.
Yeah, there's not a lot of guys who can. And then being able to get the kick off.
Yeah.
Without, just now, I know a lot of people are arguing about whether or not he, what the ball was across the line, but maybe his body wasn't. What does the rule book say in terms of where the ball's supposed to be versus where the officials called it? I don't care about that stuff.
It has nothing to do with the ball. It has nothing to do with the ball. The rule has nothing to do with the ball.
I thought the rule was the ball can't cross.
No, the rule is that
with a pass it's different. With a pass it's the body, but with a punt, I think it's the ball.
It's not different though. No, it's not. The punt is full body. The pass is full body. It's exactly the same. That is the rule. They went through it just through the game. They finally came up with what the rule actually is.
Okay, well, the thing is, too, I don't need any rule changes to take this play out of the game. Can we decide on that? For the
once in 85 years that happens, yeah, I think we're good.
We've never seen this happen before, and now you have to make a rule that this can't happen in the way that it did. Okay, that's dumb.
Yeah, and the thing is that Dixon's right foot was behind the line of scrimmage when he started the kicking motion. It turns out that that's legal. So the crazy part is who here, whether you're riding in your car or sitting in your cubicle or doing whatever it is at the grocery store, out on a run, I don't care what you're doing right now. If you actually knew that rule, raise your hand right now.
The thing that I thought that the official was throwing the flag for was if illegal man downfield still counted after the block punt. Because I didn't know.
No clue.
I had no idea. It didn't shock me that there was a flag on the field after that play happened, though.
No, definitely not. Like that, he could have come. The official could have come out and called about anything, and I've been like, "Oh, I guess that's a thing in double punt situations."
No, it was more to me that after the flag was thrown and then they explained it, my reaction was more like, "Holy shit, that counted!"
Oh, me too. Yeah, and good for Dixon, man. I mean, I know he didn't know. But he just did it anyways, and I appreciate that.
And I love that he was so honest about it after the game when they interviewed him too. That he's like, "Well, I thought at worst case they'd make me re-kick it, and I thought that would be better than wherever we ended up, and I knew I wasn't going to make the first down by running it, so I just said screw it, I'll kick it." And now I know he didn't say screw it, but it was kind of his attitude.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is when I saw the penalty flag come out, that was one of the first things I thought. It was like, dang, maybe that was a really smart play by Dixon because they're just going to make him re-kick it and we get around the block all the way around. Like, this could be a great deal. Then they're like, there was some confusion, and then all of a sudden, this is what's happening. This counted.
The worst case, the worst case of what I thought could happen with that rule is that they would consider it a dead ball at where the block happened. But that was the only thing that I could come up with to how it would work out negatively for the Seahawks.
Yeah. So it was fun. Special teams was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Blair Walsh missing the field goal that again ended
Jason
up being
Myers,
a big...
but not Blair Walsh. But yeah.
Oh God, did I just say Blair Walsh? Wow. Every miss,
not even intentionally.
Jason Myers looks like Blair Walsh. Like, yeah, that's a massive miss, dude. You can't go into halftime with that opportunity and not score. Like, it was bad enough that Dwayne Brown got called for the hold. To miss the field goal? Golly. You can't do that.
Yeah, it made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Even still, I'm so pissed. Because how often, going back, it was only 2 years ago where we were saying, the Seahawks have a 55-0 record when they go into halftime up 4 points, and they've lost 4 games now in the last 2 years, being up 4 going into halftime.
The DCH, our good buddy and listener, little flocker, executive producer, had texted me during the game, and he's like, I remember when home field advantage was a thing.
It meant something.
I miss that. And it's been years now. It just doesn't.
Or how about halftime adjustments?
Yeah. So I've been hearing a lot lately throughout the media talking about halftime things. They talked about it a lot during the rain delay for the Chiefs game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, during a normal halftime, you only get 20 minutes and like, and you're just trying to get guys hydrated. And you're telling me a guy can't sip on a Capri Sun and like tell him that he needs to like blitz less, or tell him that he needs to, drop into a coverage 3 yards deeper than they normally game plan for. We can't do both those things at the same time. You can't get hydrated. You can't have an IV in your arm and learn that maybe you need to play the chop block a certain way. Like we can't do that. It's impossible.
Not enough time.
Bullshit fish. I call bullshit fish.
I agree. What do you say we get to the second half of the show?
Bullshit fish.
Morning, everyone. I know sometimes in life we fear what may be on the other side of pain, an injury, a moment. But the reality about fear is that it's an illusion. It's not something that's real unless we make it real. So what I challenge you today, whatever you're going through, whatever fear, whatever worry, whatever concern you may have, whatever obstacle that you're going to face today, that you're facing yesterday, that you're going to face tomorrow, is run right to it. Run right to it. Believe that the best days are ahead. Believe that you're going to overcome it all. And keep telling yourself, I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. Yeah. Love y'all. Keep going. Keep winning. Keep believing. Keep speaking life. The power of life and death is in the tongue. Keep speaking life. See you guys.
I'm a winner. I'm a winner, Adam. You're a winner. We're winners.
Yeah. I mean,
don't give me the sigh with the inspirational Russ.
There's just times I don't need it. Like, and right now, I don't need. So I guess that's one of the things that both makes Russ great and helps him be the quarterback that he is. And one of the things that just goes against my personality as a whole. And that is like, can I have a week to just like feel sorry for this team and my fandom and be angry? Like, can I'm definitely a person that needs to feel all the feels and then get them out and then feel better. And part of that was doing the first half of this show, honestly.
Sure.
Having to sit and feel all those feels for between Thursday and Tuesday.
I could feel that you felt those.
I bet you did. And I feel that you have feelings too.
Part of me, though, I can get what you're saying, though. I kind of want to see some of that frustration from Russ, too, sometimes.
Yeah.
Like just to know you get frustrated, too.
Yeah.
Rather than after you throw, I'm not even going to go there. Just the, shoot. Guess this is the way things are supposed to go. I get that sense more than I get any frustration.
Yeah. I mean, like, can we be... negative emotions exist too. And that's where I feel like a lot of the positivity stuff that comes out of Russ ends up ringing a little hollow for me, because it's like, you're only looking at one side of the coin, bro. Like, how can you be a balanced human? Now, with that said, maybe being a high-level professional quarterback in the NFL, you cannot be a balanced human. You need to be forget the last play instantly. The next thing is going to be great, and you need to have that mentality to survive. And maybe that's true, and that's fine. And whatever he does for him is working great. But right now, what I don't want to hear out of Russ is that I'm a winner.
The thing that I feel like I see more than anything is just as long as it's intensity in some way, because you see so many great quarterbacks that just have a certain kind of intensity about them. And maybe that's what Russ is that his intensity is, and maybe it's not intensity toward the positive, but like, because he always talks about trying to stay neutral, but just an intensity of, in terms of his determination.
Does it feel like he talks a lot about being neutral, but yet is always positive?
Or is it because you recognize neutral as positive as being someone who's so negative?
I'm not even that negative. I'm actually a very happy human.
You're more negative than Russ. Maybe he wants his neutral.
Realistic. I'd say realistic, like not negative. It's called being realistic.
Maybe Russ wants his neutral to tend toward the positive side.
Okay, that's fine. And look, whatever it is he's doing, that's great. If that's the type of thought process that gets him through this injury, that's great. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't employ that same thought process at times when I just need to power through some stuff, you know?
Sure.
Like, I get it. But the picture of him coming out of the hospital with the title Lionheart, that was weird. You know, that little speech, like, okay, fine. Like, can we just feel like, hey, this isn't ideal and we're still in it? And I guess overall, the big thing about what happened Thursday night is that it's taken all the pressure off of the rest of this season. I don't really have to care any given Sunday now. I mean, either they're going to win or they're going to lose. They're more likely going to lose. And so there's just no more pressure.
That's an interesting perspective to have on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's less pressure now.
Now my Sundays, because I'm scheduled out through into February now for work.
Yeah.
All those games that I'm working on, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
And you know what? I felt that less pressure aspect to it even with Geno Smith, because when he was in position then after the defense got the stop to go down and get the game-winning drive, yeah, I was excited to watch it, but I didn't feel that that same kind of pressure that we normally feel in the fourth quarter when it's a 2-minute type situation.
Exactly. This is going to be a opposite of a stressful season here on out.
Because if it works out, hey, great. And if not, yeah.
If not, then, you know, our starting quarterback got injured for multiple weeks. And that's
for the first time in his career ever.
Yeah. That's the end of any team's season in a lot of ways. Just think about, I mean, the Chiefs game, like that just stuck with me after watching that. I feel like they're almost in bigger trouble than the Seahawks.
Yeah, because they have the same type of record, but they aren't dealing with injuries to the same extent.
Right. And yet still are in not even as competitive against the top teams in their conference. And they got smoked at home.
Hey, speaking of teams that could get smoked, Arizona Cardinals play the Cleveland Browns this weekend.
They won't get smoked by the Browns. The Browns aren't that good.
Didn't the Browns?
They can get beaten by the Browns, though. The Browns can win that game.
Browns just put up 42 points and lost to the Chargers.
The Chargers don't have half a football team. They forgot the defense is part of the NFL.
Yeah, how does that Browns defense allow 47?
Because they're overhyped. That entire team is overhyped. And then you look down the stretch of that game, and they take the ball out of Baker's hands. They don't trust him, and they shouldn't. He's the new Andy Dalton. Baker Mayfield is the new Andy Dalton. The Baker line.
Fine.
It's the Baker line.
He's not even on my list of favorite quarterbacks anymore, so I'm going to let that slide.
He never was on mine.
I know. But I held out some...
Boomer Sooner, I know. Da-da-da.
Yeah. I don't have that feeling with Kyler Murray at all. But I do think that after watching this last game of Arizona and San Francisco, that if Kyler Murray, if he's in consideration for MVP, it should not go to him. It should go to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yes, 100%. He makes that whole thing go.
So many times he hurls it just in D-Hop's direction and
screw it. D-Hop down there somewhere
catches the football.
That's their entire vertical offense.
Although Rondale Moore, their rookie receiver, had an incredible catch on the sideline against the Niners.
Oh, I guess I missed that one. He had a nice flare pass that he took
for the first touchdown. Yeah. No, this was, I think it was still first half, but it was one of those deep throws on the sidelines. And it was that same kind. You remember that catch by Tyler where he got both feet down and was stretched out? Like he was a good couple yards. The ball was a good couple yards out of bounds, and he got his toes down just where it needed to be, and came down with the ball. So that was impressive.
That's impressive. Look, D-Hop is. I mean, what is he? Him and Tyler and DK. Like, take your pick. Who's the best receiver in the division?
Oh, I think D-Hop's the best receiver in the division.
I think he has a skill set that lends itself to more highlight-looking plays. I'll take Lockett's consistency over D-Hop every day. I'll take Metcalf's physicality over D-Hop any day.
Yeah, they all have different things. All have a different, unique skill set that is
the other doesn't have.
Right.
Yeah. But in terms of the Cardinals' vertical passing game, it's all just chuck it up to D-Hop, and then. Like everybody's talking about AJ Green's resurgence, like he just came out of nowhere and is good again. And it's like, no, he looks like just a guy out there. Him and Christian Kirk look like just a guy out there. Oh, they got all these weapons, they're 4-0, 5-0, whatever the hell they are now. Like, dude, I have watched this Cardinals team come out hot so many times over the last 10 years and then fizzle out. Let me know in, end of December where they're at. Like, I'll let me know then. But I'm definitely not ready to crown them, as Denny Green would say, as coach of the Cardinals.
And after the Browns and Texans, then they have a stretch where it's Packers, Niners, Panthers, Seahawks before their bye week. Yeah, let's see where they're at the bye week.
Exactly. I mean, I think we all know that Kyler's going to get hit somewhere in there, and then he won't be Kyler anymore.
He's already he was having injury issues that he's dealing with this season. So
exactly.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
He's not too small to play the position in terms of being able to see the field and execute all the throws. He's too small to play the game in terms of being able to take the punishment.
That might have been the best outcome, though, for the Seahawks, just to have them beat the 49ers, because then we don't have to hear from 49ers fans about how the Seahawks are in last place in the division and they're going through their own issues with Trey. Talk about a guy who already, Trey Lance, how many times in that game was he just running into linebackers? Dude.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Look, I'll go back to what I said in the before preseason about Trey Lance when he was coming out in the draft. The second, like that read options stuff, it's going to work for half a season or so until he gets his welcome to the NFL rookie moment.
Well, he got it like just 5 times in that game.
He can't he can't play as physical as he did.
He's not
North
Lamar
Dakota.
Jackson.
Lamar Jackson doesn't even take hits like that. He knows better. Josh Allen doesn't even take hits like that. And he's a monster. Right?
I feel like those guys will deliver a hit when they know they can do it, but
but
it's
not
usually
every
against
time.
a DB.
Yeah, and not every time. Like that, and then Trey Lance, you saw this game, a couple wild throws, and then a couple wow. That was way off throws. Like, I mean, that's who he is. And it's who he always will be. They're going to have problems with Trey Lance for as long as he's their starting QB.
Yeah, I think he still has potential, but yes, there's a reason why they were starting with Jimmy G this season.
Yes, because Trey Lance is wildly inconsistent, and he doesn't understand that he needs to get down. He's worse than RG3.
Now the 49ers go into their bye week.
I would imagine Jimmy G's back next week, though.
Yeah, you think they'll put him in after the bye?
I'd be surprised if they didn't. And then that leaves us with the freaking Rams, right? Like, okay, you squeaked out a win when Russ goes down. Good job. The Rams can get got any given day. They are not the juggernaut that the national media would let you believe.
Oh, they're going to be believing it, though, after these next few weeks, though.
Oh, I know, because their schedule is Cupcake City.
Oh, it's Cupcake Central at the Giants, then Detroit, at Houston, then the Titans, before then they take on San Francisco before their bye week.
Yeah. So, great.
So, yeah, the Rams are a lock for the playoffs.
Yeah, unfortunately. But, hey, look, if we get in as a wild card, much like the Rams last year, we can ruin their day. Like, we can give it, revenge is a dish best served cold, man. We could do that.
Yeah. I hope so. All right.
And did I mention anytime during this podcast? Catfish the Rams.
That too. You were very clear about that last episode.
I my feelings haven't changed. I don't think anybody else has either. Watching Aaron Donald's arm like try to ruin our season.
Yeah. And it was just his arm.
Just his arm, his forearm.
It wasn't even
so
like some
maddening.
kind of solid hit.
I know. They did a pretty good job with Donald throughout the game.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
Well, just like revenge is a dish best served cold, getting skunked in the Welcome to the Flock segment is a dish best served cold.
Why would anybody have gotten into the Flock this week after that game?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
You might have somebody that they're like, hey, it's time. Dude, maybe it's time now.
I will say this. I do not blame one person for not getting in the Flock this week. I don't. I think it's not your fault. However, after us sitting down and going through this last game and the Russ injury and doing this podcast, you should want to get in the Flock now because we don't have to do this. You know what I mean? Like, and these aren't fun podcasts to do.
Gosh, this is our first time that we've ever had to talk about a game in 350 episodes. We've never talked about having another quarterback behind center going into this next game.
Right?
It's never happened.
Uncharted territory.
It's the first one.
Yeah.
See, you could have gotten in the Flock on the inaugural episode where we did that.
I mean, you could get in now out of appreciation for us walking you through some dark times as a Seahawks fan, as a 12.
We've got our executive producers to get us through the dark times. DCH, Dustin Mock, Brian Shaw, Kevin Watterson, and Jake Burdine.
All scholars and gentlemen. That's the only way that I can describe them.
You want to get in the Flock, you can go to getintheflock.com. You can also go to tinypiecesofseahawksstuff.com. And I put out the video to those on the Patreon and gave away that Chris Carson tiny piece of Seahawks. No, it was Russell Wilson tiny piece of Seahawks stuff and a patch. And now this month, Adam, it's a DK Metcalf tiny piece of Seahawks stuff.
And it looks like it's the breathable section of his pants.
It is. So
probably won't smell.
It might be a jersey or pants. I didn't. It's
part of his uniform for sure.
I didn't sniff it though.
You didn't sniff it?
No. It does say the enclosed player-worn material is guaranteed by Panini.
To smell? Oh,
I didn't smell it.
It's guaranteed by a sandwich.
Panini is the football card company.
Paninis are a sandwich.
I did find out though why it's not Topps for football anymore.
Topps is gone?
Topps just does baseball and some other things.
Or are they looking to get out of the business? Like, why would you get out of the most popular sport in all the land?
They actually are losing the rights to baseball soon.
To what ball?
Well, actually, so Panini is losing the rights to do cards for football. Fanatics bought everybody out. They're going to take the rights to do all the cards now.
Well, look, as long as they do it for football, they'll be good. That other sport that you mentioned, I don't know why you'd invest $1 into that, but that's cool.
People still.
No, they don't.
So
They don't. Look, I'll put it to you this way. I heard a different sportscaster bring up this point, and I think they're 100% right. Maybe it was Bill Simmons. I don't know who it was, but he said, look, Ohtani is doing what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
Being an amazing pitcher and leading the league in homers, I think, or at least was around the All-Star break or whatever it is, right? Okay. If the new Babe Ruth isn't a big story in this country, then what do you got?
It is a big story.
No, it's not. Who's talking about Ohtani? Nobody. When's the last time? Ask yourself, in the last 3 months, has anybody, other than myself in this podcast where I'm bringing it up because to point out that nobody's bringing it up.
We're not a baseball
has
show.
Has anybody talk Ohtani to you? No, I'm not talking on the show. I'm just talking in your regular life.
Yeah, I talked with Clinton about it.
Well, Clinton doesn't count because he has a little bit of that baseball sickness left in him.
He's a Mets fan. I talk baseball with Clinton.
I guess he's used to just it being bad, as a Mets fan.
I can't really talk as a Mariners fan.
Oh, yeah. No, you guys are two peas in one pod.
Well, we're not two peas in a pod because he is legit a Mets fan and I'm a fair weather Mariners fan, which I really haven't had much reason to root for the team in 20 years.
There you go. See, and here's the other thing. If the Seahawks season goes totally down the tubes here,
Kraken. It's Kraken time.
That's what I'm saying. It just opens up some time for me to learn the hockey.
Well, there's plenty of people in Pick'em that know football. And we got, winner. Oh, week 4. We didn't announce the week 4 winner last week because we recorded on the day before they finished. And the winner for week 4, straight pink for Picker.
I love it. That's fantastic team name.
Yeah, got the tiebreaker over you potty mouth. Both teams got 13
Another
picks
good one.
correct. Yeah.
I'd give double points to both those teams if it was in my ability.
Got 5 teams to give warnings to. I'll hold off on that. But
did they pick the Rams?
We'll get to it. Week 5, cars on fire. Got 14 picks correct and got the win for week 5.
That's that team name feels appropriate after last week.
I think so.
Ooh, Brandon, are you ready?
Ready for what?
Breaking news. Play the sounder. Ooh, that's better. Seahawks cut Trey Flowers.
Wow.
Just popped up on my screen.
He still plays for the team?
According to Rappaport, Seahawks parting ways with starting cornerback after he requested to be released.
Okay. Why doesn't he just retire?
Because he wants to play somewhere else, I guess.
Again, why didn't you just retire?
Yeah, I know, because
Trey
nobody's
Flowers
gonna...
effectively retired today.
Yeah.
You think there's a team that watched Trey Flowers and go, oh, yeah, that's a dude we want on our team?
Jaguars?
No. Look at Quentin Dunbar. How many times has he bounced around to different teams since leaving here, and he can't stay on with the team?
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't pick him up. That's for sure.
No.
Hey, maybe he just wanted to not practice for the rest of the year.
Pick'em question comes in, says, hey guys, quick question. I know that picking against the Seahawks in the Pick'em League is bad hawkra and a crime against humanity. But does it still apply when it's our third string quarterback? I mean, we're fielding our third string quarterback. What can bad hawkra do to us now? Any advice is appreciated. And go Hawks. From Mike, says, P.S. I know Geno didn't play terribly against the Rams, but as Adam would say, even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
Well, what? How could it get worse? How would you even ask that question? No, you cannot pick against our third string quarterback, Geno Smith. You can't do it. Do not tempt the gods any further.
Why would you want to, is the other question.
To gain more points in the pick'em and try to win prizes?
That doesn't compute to me.
No.
That's worth it to you?
Not to me. No, you cannot. It is a crime against humanity still.
A rule in the pick'em is still a rule in the pick'em. It does not change based on who is behind center or who is coaching the team or who's playing wide receiver or how bad the defense is. The rule in the pick'em is a rule which leads us right into do better because we had 5 teams. 5. Now, one of them was Barry the football team, the BFT.
He's excused.
He's excused in that he doesn't have to accept any of the wrath that comes along with his decision.
Yeah.
But I still changed his pick over to the correct pick to the Seahawks. I did that.
Why would you do that to him?
Well, it's a rule. It's a rule for being in the league. Now he can make his picks however he wants, but just know that I will change it. So there is no advantage to be gained.
Barry, the Washington football team, is not our Seahawks fan.
What if there's other teams of other fans that I just don't know about that are fans of other teams that are in our pick'em league?
Well, it's not your fault that they're not as cool as Barry, the Washington football team.
So Barry is the one guy that gets an exemption.
Yeah, he's grandfathered in.
When I look, see, this is also about me. When I look down the list of the picks and I see the winners and losers, and I see one, and in this case, I saw 5 of the green highlighted correct picks where it said LA Rams.
Yeah.
I don't like that feeling.
Gotcha. No, I don't blame you. That's
and so whether it's Barry or any of the other 4 people that made that pick, it doesn't feel good to me. 1, you need to do better. And 2, I'm changing it so I don't have to look at that again.
Hey, man, if that makes you feel better, I'm with you.
And if you're one of the 4 who's not Barry, this is your official warning. The next time you're disqualified.
Ooh.
I'm not messing around.
I thought Barry was grandfathered in.
I said if your name's not Barry,
this
is your official warning, and the next time you're disqualified.
Yeah, DQ'd. You're
so
out.
Barry can make his picks. I will change them, but he's the only. I'm not going to disqualify him.
Okay, I think he should be allowed to pick however he wants,
except against the Rams.
Except against the Rams. So any other Seahawks game, we're fine.
Or division rival.
Okay, so out of division games.
Or a team that we've lost to in the Super Bowl.
Okay. How about on Wednesdays?
Barry can use his discretion, but just know that if I feel the whim to change it to the Seahawks, he will have to accept the rules of the league.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
And the rules of the league are you can't pick against the Seahawks.
All right. Well, I'm with you on that. I liked how you started all that out at the end of our getting the flock section in the end of the pick'em section. And just the way that you had spoken about everything, about the rules and how it is and everything. You sounded like Caesar from the Caesar's Sportsbook app commercials. It was great. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, subliminally, I've seen that commercial so many times that it infected my do better.
Yeah, Carl, it's against the rules. And since I said it was against the rules, therefore it's against the rules. Like, it was great. I just enjoyed that.
Who you got for do better?
My do better this week is for Cole Beasley. And yes, this does have to do with the vaccination stuff, but not in the way that you think.
Okay.
So basically, we all know that Cole Beasley...
Not a two-shot team guy.
Not a two-shot team guy. Just does not want to get the vaccine, which that's fine. That's his right. He can do that. It's his decision. I don't even care. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad. But I'm for freedom. So that's his decision. He's free to make that choice. But with freedom comes consequences. And this is where I have a real problem with Cole Beasley. So I was reading through an article that was talking about how he deleted his Twitter account after the Thursday night game because he's tired of people razzing him. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, because it happened on Twitter. It doesn't matter. But then there was a paragraph in this story that I didn't realize was one of his positions. And it went like this. Beasley has increasingly publicized his thoughts on COVID and NFL plans for vaccination on the social media platform in recent months. Beasley advocated for increased testing of vaccinated NFL players to keep unvaccinated players safe. This is where I have a massive problem with this. Look, dude, if you're going to take the freedom and all the responsibilities that come with freedom to make the choice to not get vaccinated, it is not on the vaccinated to have extra things in place to keep you safe. That is a decision you made with consequences that will, or benefits that will come your way. Maybe in 15 years, you'll be the guy with the last laugh and all of us who got vaccinated will have an arm growing out of our forehead. Who the hell knows? I don't know. We don't know that. But right here, right now, you expecting everybody else to do extra because of your decision is a bunch of crap, and it goes against everything that comes with living as a free person. Cole Beasley, do better.
So how is Gerald Everett? This is the thing I don't understand going into this game against the Rams. He tested negative like 18 times.
Yeah.
And is vaccinated.
Yep.
And he still didn't pass some kind of arbitrary threshold
Yep.
within a negative test that he couldn't play?
It's so dumb. And Cole Beasley is one of the dumber ones out there for being like, hey, I'm going to take this risk and you got to protect me from it. It's on you. Personal responsibility, my ass.
On to Better at Life.
All right, who you got?
Who do I got this week? You know what? I'm going to give my Better at Life this week. Just after watching Monday Night Football, I'm going to give my Better at Life to Lamar Jackson for leading the Ravens from behind against the Colts, coming back in overtime, getting the win. Lamar Jackson is crushing the league right now in terms of his play. And he's one of the fun quarterbacks to watch right now. So to Lamar Jackson, better at life than Skip Bayless.
A seemingly nice guy.
He's one of my favorite personalities too.
Yeah, a seemingly nice guy, extremely talented. Wake me up when he does it in the playoffs.
Don't screw me over like Deshaun Watson did, Lamar. Like, I want to be a fan of you, and don't turn on me.
What is it with you with the Ravens and the Texans?
They're some of my favorite quarterbacks to watch.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Deshaun Watson was that for me. And then
for years and years and years, you have been a pseudo homer for the Texans and the Ravens.
I've gone away. Well, it was more the Texans. And now that things have happened down there in Texas, like Deshaun
accusations and stuff. Yeah.
And JJ Watt leaving, like he was a player that I really liked on the Texans. So my number 2 ends up being following players that I enjoy following.
I don't believe that to be true.
Why?
Because you have players come and go, and you still Texans.
When have
Ravens.
I liked the Ravens before Lamar came around?
You did.
Did I? Who's the cute? What with Flacco?
No.
I didn't care about the Ravens.
You did. You'd pick them all the time. You'd be like, "Oh, I think the Ravens are good."
Oh well, they had a
You've always liked the Ravens.
They've had a good defense before Flacco.
Yeah. I just remember having this conversation of how can you like the Ravens?
I see.
But here's the other part of the Seahawks season potentially going totally south is that it does take all the pressure off everything. And whatever that closet second team that is like, because the Seahawks are 1A, right? Mm-hmm. And then whatever that second team is that is, 17B, right? It's that far down, but it's still that second team. Then you get to cheer for them. And so I enjoyed watching Josh Allen and the Bills throttle my dad's Chiefs. That was a good time.
See, this comes back to any AFC team that I pick is a stupid pick to root for because they're not the Bills.
That's not true. There's a lot of AFC teams that I wouldn't have a problem with you, but I've never liked the Ravens, and the Texans have always been a dumpster fire. So, what are we doing?
The Texans were a hard team to have as a second team. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm kind of happy to be over them.
It took Bill O'Brien to get you off of there.
It took Deshaun Watson having multiple allegations.
Well, maybe your threshold should be a little different.
It should have been at Bill O'Brien.
It should have been at Bill O'Brien. Which would have been fine. That bar is too low.
I know. I fought through that bar. I don't know why.
I don't know either. Well, one thing that we don't have to wonder about is our Lord and Savior, Russell Carrington Wilson, who is my better at life than Skip Bayless this week. Still a great dude, still our quarterback. He's going to be back. He's going to be healed up. But the reason why he's better at life than Skip Bayless is that I found out before the 49ers game, he every week does his scouting reports for all the dudes on offense, right? Talk about all the different players. And on the scouting report, Russ put the 49ers mascot on the scouting report.
Yes, he did.
And I think that's hilarious. And furthermore, the guy to pick up on it, DK Metcalf, the only dude to be like, why is the 49ers mascot on here? Like, this is hilarious, right? For doing that to keep everybody on their toes, better at life than Skip Bayless. This also almost fell into do better because it reminded me of the Jamarcus Russell situation where they used to send him home with CDs of like game tape that they could tell whether or not that he had, or DVDs that they could tell whether or not he watched.
Right.
And it would be like, yeah, totally watched him, and then never watched him. How did nobody else pick up on this throughout the offense? I'm a little disappointed there. But to DK and Russ for being on the same page, better at life and skip.
Hey, DK had to know if he needed to match up against Sourdough Sam, what Sam's weaknesses are.
Yes, exactly.
And so I think of that.
There's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.